So today we're going to talk about our part 2 assignment 1. So we chose two languages, which is Japanese and Thailand. So I'm going to be talking about my part, which is this Japanese part. So we're going to start with the introduction. So the Japanese language has a lot of homonyms, meaning that certain words can mean different things based on how you vocalize it. For an example, we take the word sanka, which actually can mean two different things in English. The first meaning of sanka can mean participation, and the other one can mean oxidation. So Japanese readers can differentiate these two words by reading the kanji. So what is a kanji? A kanji is one of the three alphabets, one of the three types of alphabets in Japanese, and actually consists of not particularly alphabets, but also a collection of ideograms and logograms that represents the idea and meanings behind a word. So we take another example, the word kanji itself. Kanji can mean two different things in English. So the first meaning of kanji is Chinese character, the character itself, and the other meaning in English can mean feeling. So basically, how people speak in Japanese is based on how they vocalize their words and all that. So again, it can mean two different things based on how you vocalize them. So we're going to move on. So Japanese is a sexist language that differentiates between male and female vocabulary. Hence, it leads to a more sexist perception among the Japanese people. The male language is expected to be harsh and dominant, while the female language is more soft and submissive. So now we're going to talk about the word bless you. So did you know that the Japanese language, or the Japanese, do not know what to say when someone sneezes? Because in English you can say, bless you and all that, but in Japanese they don't have the word for bless you per se. So whenever someone would sneeze, they wouldn't say bless you, but they would just keep quiet instead, just to that's their way of respect, because they don't have the exact word for bless you. So actually this can lead to a misunderstanding, because for an example, you take a scenario where there would be 5 American people and one Japanese native speaker in a elevator. So if one of them sneezes, then the Japanese, so for an example, one of the American in the elevator sneezes, then the Japanese won't say anything, but instead people would say bless you, and that would be a little bit weird, because the Japanese native speaker won't get to say anything in return. So now we're gonna talk about the color now, and color in Japanese. So in English we would call the color sky blue as sky blue, but actually in Japanese they wouldn't consider the color sky blue as blue, because to them sky blue is mizu in itself, and they don't see it as blue, they see it as mizu. A research conducted by Japanese researchers found that the 11 main base colors in English were found unique by Japanese native speakers. So and they have their own distinct words for color. For an example, we have the color hada, or skin tone, or we would call it peach or anything, but they have the word hada. And actually, fun fact, mizu stood out as a distinct color, and researchers proposed it to be a 12th color in the Japanese lexicon, because to them mizu is a more different color than the sky blue. And the research actually found that a lot of Japanese people found it very hard to differentiate certain colors, and then they would think, for an example, we take purple, maybe they think that purple is another color. And for another example, the color auringo, which means blue apple, would be replaced with what we call green apple, but they don't call it green apple, they call it blue apple, or auringo. And okay, so we take another example, uguiso iro. For an example, it comes from the Japanese bush warbler, which happens to be a bird, and the color uguisiro iro in English would be olive green. So they take the color uguisu iro from the bird name of the bird itself, because the bird is actually a color of olive green. So that is all. So I'm gonna move on to the next, which is Thailand.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Shahani Abdul Rahim with the metric number 2010076. We will be explaining on the first two parts of determinism and relativism of Thailand. I will be explaining the background of Thai. The language Thai is thought to have originated in the region that is now the border between Vietnam and China, a concept that offers clues as to the roots of the Thai people. It is still an area of ongoing scholarly debate. The Thai language has 5 tones, which are mid, low, falling, high, and rising. This is indeed one more than Mandarin, a language that is undoubtedly difficult for people to understand. Besides, unlike reading Malay, English, or Indonesian, the Thai language alphabet does not look at all familiar. Next, in tonal language such as Thai, the interpretation of even absurdly short words vary on the basis of the sound with which they are delivered. Fortunately, no one would worry too much if we lack the tones when we say hello in Thai. The locals will understand our attempts clearly on the basis of the context by the position of the hands placed, which is called Y. The same applies to saying thank you and other popular phrases in Thai. Interestingly, Thailand's popular default friendly greeting of Sawasdi was derived from the Sanskrit word and was not common until the 1940s. Moving on to Thai dialect, the Thai provide different ways of addressing people to show various degrees of respect or to recognize a person's social status. For example, there are particles that can be added at the end of the sentences to show respect to the person being spoken to, or to communicate the opinion of a speaker as to what is being described. Besides, there are 160 dialects in English, while there are 4 major dialects within Thailand. The 4 main dialects of Thai should not be confused with 4 distinct languages used by Thais under different social circumstances. For example, some words are used only by the royalty of Thailand, forming a royal language.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Shaira Irdina binti Anam, metric number 2018824, and I will be proceeding with the examples. So saying hello in Thai is different compared to Malay and English language because the traditional Thai greeting, which is sawadi, is supported by sufficient finishing particles to make it appropriate, unlike English and Malay. And men say sawadikap with a short and sharp finish, while Thai women say sawadika with a drawn-out finish. And moreover, this greeting is used regardless of the time of the day and night. Regarding Thailand's cultural identity, their tradition and beliefs are directly from Buddhist principles. However, Hinduism has made important contributions to Thai culture through art, literature, and so on. The tone and excitement of the finishing word of kha or ka displays more focus, concentration, and some level of respect to the person we communicate with. For example, Thai women occasionally turn to a higher tone to offer more excitement. Thus saying krap or ka itself is like nodding the head verbally and can mean yes or I understand.
Moving on to the current progress of Assignment 2, we have chosen mental health as our topic for study. So we came up with 2 research questions. The first one is how online class is affecting students' mental health, like depression, and also what can be done to overcome depression among these university students. This will be further explained by Shara.
Moving on with the methodology, we conducted a survey using questionnaires which we distributed among the IIUM students with a sample size of 50 people. We chose qualitative data collection method because it allows deeper discussion and insights into the issue in order to analyze the factors that have influenced the mental health among IIUM students. Do note that their personal information is not included in the survey to avoid sensitive issues and breach of privacy. To make the participants feel less intimidated in answering the questions, responses are kept anonymous by using Google Form. As we have reached our target response, we have closed the form acceptance to maintain the current data, and for the next step, We proceeded with analyzing the data collected from the Google form. So according to the response, majority of students claim that they often experience stress during online learning due to COVID-19 pandemic. And although the participants state that they can still cope with their online learning, their mental health are still affected. Based on our findings, there are many factors affecting students that contribute to this issue, and statistics report that the highest count of 36% comes from severe or long-term stress, which is known as depression, while the second highest of 26% is from social isolation or loneliness. And there are many reasons that can affect the stress level, including internet connection, environment's conduciveness, and cooperation of the people in the surrounding. As students have less face-to-face interaction with the lecturer and classmates, learning sessions become harder to handle, as there will be many confusions from miscommunication or misunderstanding. Added that such issues are unable to be discussed immediately, students will lose interest and the spirit to study compared to in classes before the pandemic happened. Moreover, students with existing mental health issues face an aggravation towards the situation, where it is found that a total of 30.3% are diagnosed with anxiety disorder, followed by a percentage of 24.2% having depression. In relation to this issue, it is stated that their sleeping schedule has been declining and shifting to the poorer side, while there is also a change in their overall habits. It is harder for students to manage their schedule now that they have varieties of distractions from online learning. Based on the response, half of the participants have tried seeking help, yet 13 out of 50 students said that they do not have anyone to reach out to for expressing their problems. And as mentioned previously, it can be seen that people who suffer from mental health problems want help, yet in some cases are not able to find any. This can be supported from the responses obtained in the questionnaire, where most students suggest that the university provides a private therapist or a counseling session. However, there are people who do not like to open up to strangers, fearing that they will be judged. So what they suggest for the university to do is to increase the organizations of events which could help in relieving stress. For example, IIUM has held events such as painting and drawing contests, book reading, online gaming competitions, and many more. This has helped students who are stuck on campus feel distracted by keeping their schedules busy with these activities.
I recite a poem based on our topic mental health for our assignment 2. So here it goes. Screaming out loud, yet silence came about. Are my voices heard, or are the words stirred? Are you okay, they say, but they pushed me away. In need of attention, hold your thoughts in suspension. Can I get out of here? There is too much fear. I need a little bit of time. Would that be a crime? Are pills the only thing keeping me sane? In 24 hours, problems will come again. Talks and talks numb the pain, yet the world is still just plain. What is there left to do in this world if only my mind wouldn't be so curled? Voices after voices telling me to end. Darkness creeps around like an old friend. So much to hear, so much to see, yet I still won't agree. Is my life worth more than a penny? I bet it won't be that plenty. Hold my hand, tell me it's okay, before pain starts to come out and play. Thank you.
Lastly, we have reached the end of our presentation. I will be explaining about the poem that has been recited by Zara just now. My name is Norshamimi Ayuni binti Zulkifli, and this is my part for the presentation. Writing a poem is a way of expression. This poem proves how people with mental health issues use language differently. To relate with linguistic concepts, people without mental health issues may interpret the poem differently and, unable to comprehend the message the poet tries to convey, asemantically, certain words may be conveyed with different meanings to people without mental health issues. The aim is to create awareness that there are people out there facing issues due to the pandemic but yet unable to seek help. Poem writers are mostly lonely and need a medium for comfort, simply someone to talk to. Relating this with our study, our research response concludes that this group of people is seeking help, as in they want to be heard and acknowledged, but are shy to be approached publicly. From the way you move and sleep to how you interact with people around you, mental health issue changes just about everything. It is even noticeable in the way you speak and express yourself in writing. Sometimes this language of depression can have a powerful effect on others. Just consider the impact of the poetry and song lyrics of Sylvia Plath and Kurt Cobain, who both killed themselves after suffering from depression. More interesting is the use of pronouns. Those with symptoms of depression use significantly more first-person singular pronouns, such as me, myself, and I, and significantly fewer second and third-person pronouns, such as they, them, or she. These patterns of pronoun use suggest people with depression are more focused on themselves and less connected with others. Last but not least, I would like to end this presentation by saying that we hope this presentation, this project of us, could create awareness about mental health, that it is crucial as other issues as well. And thus, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and Assalamualaikum.